really interesting update on Manchester United in getting rid of players. Player sales out of the football club this morning for you guys. We've got an update on Edersen, Scott Mctominay, where we're at with De Ligt as well. Interesting development on Bayern Munich's side, come out from Florian Plettenberg as well. Loads to get through this morning in your update show. This is your quickfire update show where we go through everything that's happened overnight and early this morning to get you ready for your day. It's Forever United TV. I'm Adam. Welcome along, everybody. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to make sure you miss nothing with Manchester United content or news or breaking news from the football club. Please give the video a like. Another 600 likes on this video, everybody. That would be much appreciated. Get behind the free content, giving you the best Manchester United news and updates going on with the club right now. And there is plenty. It's not the best. I'll warn you pre-hand. Some of the interesting information that's coming out right now about Manchester United and getting rid of players, what's happening with players that we've got. We all know and we all get a little bit fed up with players not being able to be moved on. There's a lot behind what's happening with Manchester United right now. And to be honest, with what's happening in this transfer window, we're finding quite a lot of situations with players that not only will we want to get out, but want to get in. We are just being kicked while we're down. Nobody wants to help Manchester United out because everybody knows as soon as Manchester United find their feet again, they're going to be an absolute force. Going into details on what INEOS are dealing with right now, the situation isn't easy, to say the least. Going to get into big details on this. Welcome along. Get your comments in the live chat, everybody. And please do comment on the video once it's finished. It's live. We'll get through as many of them as well and get back to as many people as possible. Hope you're all doing fantastically well. We're moving forward. 7th of August. It feels like the window is coming to a close. No, honestly, there's a bit of time left yet. But it does feel like the season is getting closer and closer and closer. So hopefully Manchester United can get moving on. I'm going to give you the interesting updates on player ins, but I want to start with the outs tonight. Obviously, we know where Wan-Bissaka is. Manchester United trying to negotiate that compensation fee. Now, an interesting tweet came out last night, which definitely got my attention from Phil Brown, Malakin's Phil Brown. You know, if you don't know who he is, he's a man very well connected, does a lot with the Muppeteers over from the American side of things, now lives over there in the States, in LA, and is well connected and comes out with some very interesting information. That information is not something he would put out willy-nilly. He's not after attention, he's nothing like that. You only have to look at his page to understand what he's all about, Phil. I have had him on this channel before, back in the day. He's a great guy. He talks complete and utter sense. I'm just going to read what he said, and then you guys can dissect it yourselves and think and try and figure out if you think this is on the money or not. I think it's probably explaining quite a lot of what's going on right now. Unlike previous years, United are very willing sellers this summer. They want to bring in more players. They know they need to, but selling players with a year to go on their contracts is not as easy or as lucrative. A number of players, United players, negotiated a clause in their contract that if the club extend their contract by a year to protect resale value, the player gets half of the fee. Wow. None of this is INEOS' fault. They are trying to clean up a mess they inherited, but there are many different factors why United can't sell as well as other clubs right now. That pretty much hit hard last night, and you know what, factually it looks like it is pretty much on the money. Manchester United, Ed Woodwards of this world, Murtos, Arnolds, the previous regime, and what they put in place with these players. So it's like the agents took advantage, complete advantage of Manchester United's ineptitude in how to run a football club. That's what they did. They spoke to these players and they said to them, look, if we're going to get this 1 year extension, you're going to extend our year, we're not going to get a new contract, then we need to look after our clients at the same time. United clearly not thinking about this at the time. I'm thinking on a short-term basis. I've put Manchester United in a situation right now where players have complete power. It's like United trying to negotiate this compensation package with Wan-Bissaka. The Sun completely blew it up to what it was. Yes, this happens all of the time with players, like I said yesterday. But I didn't know that this was there. I was surprised, like many people, when I read that from what Phil put last night. But he wouldn't put that out there unless he knew something like that was actually genuine and real. So I have to take it from Phil as like, yes, there is probably a chance. And then when you look at it person, you try and figure out if that might be true or maybe it may be bull. You look at it and you go, the way that agents work these days, the way that players work these days, and the issue that United have had for years in getting rid of players on shit money, maybe Manchester United in their years gone by have hid the fact that they've had to give big chunks of money to these players to get them out of the door. It starts to make a lot of sense, and with a new regime in, I think things like this are now going to start to be leaked out, because INEOS are getting a lot of the blame from the fan base, and we've said it before on this show, INEOS are being targeted as Glazer puppets. It's just the same as it was before. There's a lot involved in what goes on with Manchester United, and it just seems like, again, the Glazer regime and the people that they employ to run this football club have absolutely destroyed it. It's at a stage where United really have to sell a player to bring a player in. We know that this transfer window. There is 70 million aside without sales that they have earmarked for one more defender and one more central midfielder. We know this because we've got bids in for De Ligt and we've got a bid in that was rejected for Agate. So we know we've got around about 70 million available without player sales. But this includes all of what we're talking about right now. How much of the money that we make from these sales is actually available to put back into players? This is why we're probably looking at Zanderberg going into proper recruitment mode and trying to find players that hit the mark. Don't listen to absolute numpties who are looking at just because Zanderberg has been relegated with Burnley and he's playing in the Championship isn't good enough for Manchester United. We spent 50 million on Fred. He's not good enough for United. Them same people are slagging off academy players like Scott Mctominay, saying that they're not good enough for Manchester United. Well, Scott Mctominay right now, leading us into the next story, Ten Hag wants to actually keep Scott Mctominay. He's not going to force him out of the football club. Just to read up on the Scott situation right now and where we're actually at, you can see at the bottom of your screen there regarding Scott McTominay. Yesterday, Sky Sports came out and said that Fulham look like they're dropping out of the race. Well, Miguel Delaney of The Independent has come back on that one. So there's a lot of confusion right now with Scott McTominay and what's going on. They've come out and said Fulham remain likely to go back in for Scott McTominay. And there is hope that suits all parties a deal can be done. Added to that, Manchester United were expecting a new bid for McTominay this week from Fulham, and it has seemed like they would even drop to 25 million for him. We've talked about this. We knew this was coming. This is more news from Gimme Sport, and their head senior transfer correspondent has been saying this, Dean Jones. More from Scott McTominay from Dean Jones again, saying Ten Hag is not pushing McTominay out of the door, and the player has reservations about leaving the club. Scott McTominay falls into that category next season of players that are probably going to have a one-year contract triggered. Therefore, that Phil Brown has been talking about, and that sort of clause in their contracts where they take half of the fee, again, it sounds ludicrous, but he would not write it unless there was something in there. If it's half or if it's quarter, or if it's a chunk, it's ridiculous. But again, if you're Scott McTominay, you love Manchester United. You've come through. I'm not even going to sort of label Scott McTominay as one of them players that's going to take United to the cleaners. But I'll tell you someone who will. Scott McTominay's agent. And we've talked about agents constantly on this show, about their rules, and obviously Kaz throwing out the FIFA rule against them to try and cap what they can take fee-wise out of a transfer. It's open season for all agents. They can do whatever they want. So whereas Scott McTominay has Manchester United at heart, and I can feel that within Scott. I'm not, like I said, I don't even want to label him that type of player. Others, yes. Scott, no. Scott's agent, 100% yes. You cannot stop agents being agents. You cannot stop what they do, which is trying to fleece out as much money from every single football club and client that they possibly can. It's what they do. They need to be paid themselves. So, Scott McTominay sat down with his agent. This could be my last big move. I could get a big contract. Agent talking back to Scott McTominay, let's make sure that we get a big contract and make sure it's a good one, because next season Manchester United will have to trigger your deal, because they're not offering a new contract at the moment. So they'll have to trigger the one-year extension, therefore entering that phase where you could get a big payout if Manchester United sell you within that year. And that's the complications that we've got right now with all of our players. Lindelof and Wan-Bissaka are both in that category. Lindelof, apparently, a stumbling block within Turkey and Italy is his wage demand and how much money he's on. Oh my God, like seriously, this frustrates me more than anything. I've been quite calm with a lot of things this transfer window. I see what INEOS are doing. I see the work they're doing. I see everything that's working and the direction that they want to go in. It's taking United into a better place. But there are still things at this club which absolutely infuriate me. And do you know what? I can't even blame the players like I want to, but this is their lives. They are being forced out of a football club they don't want to leave because they're on big money. It was not their fault that Murtos, Woodwards, Arnolds, all of these players, Judge, all of these players, all of these people working at Manchester United, it's not the players' fault that them idiots were giving stupid contracts, pointless contracts out to players that did not deserve it. Lindelof's had a contract extension while he's been here. He was never a first-team player when he got that contract extension. What goes through... honestly, like, you look at it, and the more you break it down, it's quite simple that this club was running to the ground, giving stupid fees, giving stupid wages. We all know this. But if this is true, what Phil Brown has said about this contract situation into the last year, if it's triggered, there's quite a lot of players falling into this category. And as nice as they are, and as what they say, and they've got the best of the club's interest at heart in front of the cameras, behind the scenes, there's one man running the show. It's the agent. The agents are the ones that are destroying Manchester United, and United let them in back then. I have talked Manchester United working with agents this summer in a good way. I'm not going to hide away from the fact that United have took advantage of the situation they're in and gone through agents like Kia Jarabdjian, paying his fee. Obviously going through George Mendes to get Euro and get that deal over the line. Doing the same thing now with Pimenta, with Matthias de Ligt and Mazraoui as well. All of these agents, yes, you have to work with them. You have to handle them. But when you give them an opportunity to absolutely fleece you, they are 100% going to take full advantage of that. And this is what Manchester United are dealing with right now. A super chat in there from Glenn. Thank you, Glenn. Cheers for that, buddy. It would be very easy to say there is no way that is right about the contracts, but some said the same about the Mason clause, but look how that's ended. We don't know what is going to be released regarding certain fees and clauses within contracts. They're never going to tell us absolutely everything. All we're going to find out about is agents' fees, and I reckon within them agents' fees, there will be player chunks taken out of them as well. You see it. Financial fair play counts wages, it counts agents' fees, it counts transfer fees. They're the three main things that you have to fall in line with. Agents run the game. It's as simple as that. When it comes to transfers, they are the ones that make things happen. They are the ones that get the deals, the ones that get the little side packages or sweeteners for the clubs that are selling or trying to get better deals, obviously structuring finance packages and things like that, and player bonuses. Everything like that is run by the agents. And if you're opening up and you look weak, they're going to completely fleece you and take advantage of you. And that's what I think's happened pre-INEOS anyway. They're just trying to rectify this now and move on and take United in a different direction altogether. It's not easy, and some people are not patient enough to wait for it. I feel it. You've been through years of pain in trying to watch Manchester United transfer windows and how ridiculous we are. You're watching Manchester City getting massive fees for players that probably nowhere near worth that, where Manchester United are scraping the barrel just to try and get 18 million together for a 26-year-old right back, or trying to get 25 million together for a central midfielder that's come through United's academy. That's 27 years old. Honestly, it's mind-blowing. Scott Mctominay has won trophies, and we're scraping the barrel to try and get 25 million for him. That's the same price that Manchester City sold Trafford, the goalkeeper, to Burnley for, who'd not played one game in the Premier League. Oh my God, what's going on at United behind the scenes? It's a complete and utter mess. Thank God we've got INEOS, is all I'm saying. And they are doing the work that everybody needed and everybody knew that needed to be done, and everyone's just getting frustrated in the transfer market because we're not bringing in the right players. Like Xander Berg, for instance. You'll look at what that player brings and why Manchester United might be looking at him. Let's trust the recruitment team and the new people that are in place right now, rather than idiots saying that he's just basically a relegation for the player and why are we going for it? It's because we're cheapskates. Well, no. We're not cheapskates. We've overspent on players year after year after year, and now we're coming to a point where we've got a proper structure in place that are trying to balance the books again. and make United better and run like a proper football club. Shut up moaning about it and just understand the situation we're actually in. Rant over. Edersen, he's a good player. Atalanta, Manchester United looking towards him. Like we said, Manchester United have got 70 million aside. De Ligt, Agate, that's where that money was going. We know that they've got that money. They've already calculated that into the budgets because the bids are in. We had, 3 players that we could bring in. We've got 4 main players that we could work with. 4 signings, which was the forward, 2 centre-backs and a midfielder. The budget was there for that. We spent half of it on Euro and Xerxes. We've now got this little bit left. And this isn't actual cash that's available to just go, there you go. This is instalment packages and budgeted into financial fair play and PSR. It's in like 10 and 15 million pound instalments. So where you're looking at the value of what we've got, when you get De Ligt in, when you get Mazraoui and another midfielder in, you add them to Euro and Xerxes, that's not what United have had to spend. That comes down from, what will it be, about 150 million-ish or something like that eventually. That's broken down into maybe 40 million this summer because it's in instalments instead of upfront fees. United cannot afford upfront fees. Not many clubs can do. And this is what's happening. It's like that package for Alvarez for Atleti. That'll be in pure instalments. That won't be, wow, they've got that much money to spend. No, it won't. They've just bought Gallagher and Alvarez. It won't be giving 150 million out just like that. It'll be 10, 15 million installments over a period of time, like 3 or 4 years, something like that. Probably more for an 80-odd million pound player, but you know what I mean by it. That's what United's budget is. It's not like the actual value of 150 million. It's more like 40 to 50 million spent this summer in first installments, and then that goes on to next summer. If you've got the hundreds of millions coming in from the Champions League, if you get into the Champions League, you add that to your balance sheet. Getting that in every year helps you bump that 40 to 50 million installment payments up. Obviously, selling players and getting installments coming back in helps an awful lot. But United, like I explained at the start of this video, dealing with the stupidity of the old regime, are struggling to balance this out. It's fine margins. But Edersen, again, falls into that midfielder category, 30 to 40 million, what United can afford. Fofana does as well, so does Zanderberg. So expect players around the 30 to 40 million pound mark to be where United are at, which is why I was pretty convinced we would not be able to afford Zubimendi. United apparently were at 38 million for Agate, by the way. That was their bid. And the same for Matthijs de Ligt, which takes us a bit more than 70, around about the 75, 80 million mark in terms of what we've got available to spend. So, yes, over 250 likes. Thank you, guys. Please give the video a like. We're early morning. We've got over 1,500 people in again on a morning show. Absolutely immense, guys. Thank you so much. Please hit that subscribe button. I tell it you straight. I bring as many facts as possible. I don't slag off needless players because they've come from a lower division. We look into detail as to why this might be happening. We go into all of it. We bring up your comments as well. This is just your update show, Fast Fire, which is why we do more live shows later on in the day as well, guys. Bringing your guys' thoughts in and everything like that. But if you put your comments in below on this video about everything that we've talked about, I will come back to you personally, responding to your messages. So get your comments in as soon as this video is finished, and I will get back to you guys. Keep them likes coming in. Please do hit that subscribe button as well, guys. Right, into other news. We were talking about possible other targets for Manchester United. And obviously, another midfielder is Richard Rios, who we have spoken about before. Obviously, the Colombian holding midfielder is another one that's on the list. No extra information or details of any sort of bids or approaches from United on that yet. It's just another name that was brought up. Another interesting one, though, regarding where we're actually at with Matthijs de Ligt right now, and I've said this before. I'm actually going to big myself up for saying this because I did a show talking about this window and how Manchester United dealing with Bayern Munich and the domino effect of players coming and going from both clubs worked in. This is an update from Florian Plettenberg. The transfers of Desiree Doué and Jonathan Tah are to be finalised with the proceeds from the sales of Matthijs de Ligt and Nusa Mazraoui. Most important sale to obtain further approvals from the supervisory board. De Ligt to United for 50 plus add-ons That's the biggest one and what they want. I said it before, like Manchester United in a position right now where they know that Bayern Munich need to sell players. Bayern Munich needed Desiree Doué. They wanted him. They earmarked him. They didn't get Xavi Simons, which is why they went for them. Manchester United then were hoping that he would go to Bayern, so PSG would then come in for Jadon Sancho. Similar player, you could argue who's better, but one or two, they're both on the list, which is why we're getting reports of PSG going for Jadon Sancho right now, because Bayern Munich have managed to claw their way into the Desiree Doué. They need to sell Matthias de Ligt. We're expecting a bid, according from a lot of sources, from Manchester United for de Ligt and Mazraoui again in the next... It should be today. It should be today, but we will have to wait out and see exactly where that one stands. But from Plettenberg and the Germany stance, they're sticking to 50 million euros plus add-ons. Whether United do go closer to that and then get a deal over the line, maybe they put in a little bit more Mazraoui. I don't know how they're going to do it, but there is a package offer coming in for both players very, very soon. Obviously, the hold-up has been what I described at the top of the show in United negotiating Aaron Wan-Bissaka's package and his release payments, or that clause stipulation that's in there for him to take away a part of the fee that Manchester United get for him. Absolute farce and a joke, seriously. But that's the situation Manchester United are in right now. So, yeah, that's where we're going to have to just accept that United are in a tough spot. Don't blame INEOS. They're doing the right thing. They're making sure that they have got themselves covered. They're not going to send this club deeper into the mire and going into more debts. They don't want to go into the revolving credit facility. If they have to, it's there just in case. But they will look to bring in players to make sure that everything that's been accounted for in terms of players going out comes back in with the players that we've sold as well, to the best that they possibly can. I calculated that if United sold Mctominay, Aaron Wan-Bissaka on top of what we've sold, and this is without Lindelof, that we've probably scraped together around about 80 million so far. If we get the fees that's been reported, i.e. 18 million for Wan-Bissaka, 25 million for Scott McTominay, and then obviously Cambuala, Shoretire, Donny van der Beek, and Mason Greenwood. I was struggling to remember him then. If we get all the fees in that we reported, we're around about 80 million that we've brought in, which pretty much puts United into covering the first two signings of Xerxes and Yoro. So that's without add-ons, by the way. So that's where we're at with that. And then you've got that 70 million that we're talking about. Like, it's complicated, but you have to just put it all together, look at the ins, look at the outs, and then you basically have what Manchester United's situation is with all of that news that we just talked about, the undercover stuff and everything else that's going wrong at United right now from the old regime that INEOS are trying to cover. Crazy. 1,600 in the room, guys. Legends, a lot of you, but only 331 votes. Likes. Surely you can get 500 likes out of 1,600 people, can you not? Please give the video a like, guys. Make sure you're subscribing. I will get to all of your comments in the comment section below. I can see all of your conversations, concerns and worries going on. I don't like to be a doom and gloom merchant and say that everything is right, but we have to talk about situations that are happening at the football club that aren't of INEOS's doing. INEOS are doing a great job. I still feel they are the right thing and everything is moving in the right direction for Manchester United. It really is under INEOS, but when you are hampered and handcuffed the way that they are and dealing with what's happening at the football club, there's not much you can expect. There is a lot riding. And when I say the pressure's on Ten Hag, everyone jumps onto my back and saying, here he goes again, Ten Hag out and everything. I never was Ten Hag out. I just wanted more. I don't like excuses. I'm very opinionated when it comes, and I just don't like people who use excuses a lot. And when I say that the pressure's on Ten Hag, this is what I mean by it. He has to get results this season for Manchester United to continue. For United to get better players in and spend a little bit more money, we have to be in the Champions League. That is everything. We haven't got enough in players to sell like other clubs. With everything that's going on and what was done before, we haven't got that money there to generate enough to keep Manchester United going and spending in the summers. We need to be in the Champions League. And Ten Hag, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, I do feel. Because he's got players there that he knows and he loves that will run through brick walls that just technically are not good enough for him. And I can understand the prime example being the Scott McTominay situation. Scott is a standout professional, and everybody would want a Scott McTominay in their side. But you do question his ability and his quality. Everything else you can't ignore, but he does do a role at Manchester United, Scott McTominay. The debate is if he's ever going to be good enough, which obviously at the age he is now, it's clearly he's not going to be a top player. But Ten Hag needs to balance getting Scott McTominay out with the help of INEOS in bringing in a replacement for him. I think Scott McTominay goes, United bring in 2 midfielders. If he doesn't go, I still think United could bring in 2, but they won't be that expensive. They'll be of the Zanderberg, Amrabat sort of category player, I think. We could then put both of them together and buy one better player. Maybe Agate still does come in for Manchester United. The problems are there, but INEOS at least are looking at the football side of things, and that's what we have to understand. That's what we have to take into consideration with all of this. It's not like we are just doing things willy-nilly, looking to appease fans and making niche shirt-selling signings, these glitz and glamour signings that everyone's going to go, whoa, look at that, United making headlines again. That does not count for anything, and it just puts Manchester United into more shit. If you watched, there's a link at the top of the podcast, at the top of the live chat, guys. It's a link to the United Couple podcast, a behind-the-scenes look of what goes on. Within that podcast, there is the top 5 Manchester United transfers, and it brings into focus everything that I've just said now. And you go and tell me, after watching that, and it's right at the top of the actual podcast, so you can see it at the start of it, guys. Go and watch it. The link is there in the live chat right now. And that will tell you exactly what's going wrong with Manchester United. And everything that I've just explained and what INEOS are trying to deal with. And just look at the players in the list. Look at the players in the list and try and tell me that any of them players are players that you actually like or would like to be playing for Manchester United. It's all there. It's all there. It's ridiculous. It's an eye-opener. It really is. But the link to the podcast is there right in the top of the live chat, guys. Go give it a watch. Please do subscribe to the podcast channel as well. It's something completely different. Plenty of football talk, but just unfiltered, just general behind the scenes of FUTV and everything like that goes on. Go check it out. You got Rawls with your 20th Super Chat. Legend, mate. Thank you so much. It's always darkest right before the dawn. Have to continue sticking to our guns with Bayern and PSG. Well said, mate. Well said. Totally agree with that one. It's a positive but negative together with United right now. And to wrap things up, I just want to say again, I'm not going to just shout things out for the sake of it on this channel like other people do. I want to bring up the facts. I want to talk about it in more depth about what is going on. Look at why we're looking at certain players, why we've bought this player, why we spent a little bit more on this player. Not just shout it out because it fits someone's agenda or it fits someone's narrative on a certain look of Manchester United, certain players, or where we're going. I feel like a lot of people right now are worried about next season. Yeah, quite rightly. But again, I'll spin it and just say, look, the transfer window isn't over yet. Let INEOS do their thing, and then let's see and judge them on the players that they've brought in the circumstances that they're having to deal with. And on that note, Super Chats, members, mods in the chat, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Over 1,600 again on the morning show. Everyone is loving this morning show. I'm loving it. It's my favourite show at the moment. It gets me up. It gets me going for the day. It really does. Hopefully, we've set you up for your day with all the information going on with Man United. We'll be back at 12 o'clock again with a full-on update in more detail. Again, if we can give you more detail. Please give the video a like, guys. We're over 400. See if you can get as close as you can to 500. As you leave, just tap the video, give it a like. Much appreciated, everybody. Love you all. Have a fantastic rest of your morning. I'll see you all at lunchtime. Have a good one, everyone.